The First Coast's most accurate forecast from the First Coast News Weather Team, certified by Weather Rate, sponsored by AC Designs.
Happy Hump Day,
Yo!
folks. What?
Hump Day. We're sliding downhill to the weekend from here on out, baby.
Oh, I thought you said no. Did you say yo?
I said, yo, whoa.
Oh, I thought you said no.
No.
It wasn't Hump Day.
No, I would never say no to you. No.
Okay.
It's always yes, as you well know. It's Ross and Lou. Welcome into it on a Wednesday. Before we get into it, and we're going to get into it, we got a lot of weather to talk about. In fact, we've got some storms popping right now all over the First Coast. We're kind of settling into the pattern of these afternoon showers and storms. But Ross, you probably get to know Ross here on these streams a good bit, coming from
Too much.
Okay, so how many years have you been here now?
I've been here like a year and a half.
Year and a half. Came from Oklahoma City.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about, the difference in these, what we get in the afternoon here and what you would see in Oklahoma, just a day to day. I mean, are you dealing, my whole life, I've forecasted 20 years. I've been in South Carolina where we had this along the coast and then inland and then right here in Jacksonville. And so enlighten me a little bit, Ross. What do y'all deal with?
So I would say there might be about 3 or 4 different kind of phases throughout the year forecasting wise. The biggest and the one that Oklahoma is most known for is really late May or late April, I should say, through the month of May and then beginning of June. You're watching for a lot of thunderstorms firing off along the dry line. So that dry line comes in from the Texas Panhandle into western Oklahoma with a cold front typically situated right behind it. There's always a warm front boundary just off, extended from west to east, perhaps just north of, let's say, I-40 or something. So we are dealing with some synoptic stuff, but also very mesoscale-wise with the dry line coming in. That's where you get a lot of those supercellular thunderstorms.
Yep.
If you saw Twister, it's one of Andy's favorite movies, actually.
One of
the favorite movie, sorry. That's something we often deal with, for about a 2-month span.
Sure.
Then you get into kind of the first to second part of June, you get a lot of MCS events that drop down out of eastern Colorado, west Kansas. So you have a huge straight line wind threat of 80 to 110 mile per hour. We would have multiple of those every single June. And then once the wind threat kind of dissipates, then it just turns into like torrential downpours. And we'll have a flooding risk kind of through, I would say, the first half of June. After that, it is crazy. Now, I was only out there 3 years, but almost like clockwork. You get to the 4th of July, faucet shuts off.
Yeah.
You might have some isolated pop-up thunderstorms, but typically a huge, heat dome and ridge of high pressure sets in, and you're not having any sort of storm systems coming in. I mean, I think it was the year 2022. We had, I think it was like 14 straight days of temperatures above 100 degrees. We went almost like a month with less than an inch of rain. I mean, it's no surprise the Dust Bowl was out there.
Right.
So then you're just dealing with super high heat. It is humid out there, but not as humid as it is here. But super high heat and just, real dry weather. When the thunderstorms do develop though, because the upper level flow is so weak, there's really not any steering currents.
Right.
So there's a lot of just, pulse thunderstorms. The outflow boundaries are really what ends up kind of feeding into another updraft and storm, which we do deal with here.
Sure.
But literally there is no rhyme or reason half the time, to try to figure out where a thunderstorm is going to develop in the afternoon.
Yes.
You're not watching boundaries through July, August, September.
I wanted to talk to you about that point.
And that's the biggest difference.
Yes.
We're watching a lot of mesoscale outflow boundaries and sea breeze collisions here. Out there, you're just in open sky, flat land. You have none of that you're trying to work with, really.
So it is interesting that you made the point. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. Now, we're blessed here. The dynamics just don't set up. I mean, certainly we get severe weather. Certainly we get the EF zeros and ones and the occasional EF2, which that's increasingly rare. And then we get the tropics, of course. But these afternoon thunderstorms, we're just kind of blessed in that certainly we get the 40 to 50 mile an hour winds, but you're talking about, within Oklahoma, you're talking 100, plus mile an hour gusts. But I will say, I think a lot
of that is it's so flat, and of course it's like downsloping the whole way.
Sure.
From Colorado down to Oklahoma City. It's just a very gradual downslope. So those winds just have nowhere to go but to continue forward and down the hill, so to speak.
And the benefit of a warning as well. I mean, because you guys, are on top of that. Here we're on top, but the roll of the dice of these afternoon storms that we're watching right now, Ross, and we're seeing it on radar. That it is, we know, and we pick up on the pattern. We know these next couple of days with today, Wednesday and Thursday, Friday even, sea breeze, right? Mm-hmm. So that's our main feature dynamically. That's the uplift that it's beating out the westerlies, and a lot of these are the really slow movers too. So the folks who are under the rain right now, if you're under it, you could see that it's going to kind of be over you for a minute. So you may get a good deal of rain, but it's in that zone of like, well, maybe 50 to 60% of us see it. Yeah. And some people are just left high and dry, left with the 94-degree heat and 105-degree heat index, when you're kind of on the edge of it. So anyway, I just wanted to open with that, sort of monologue. While we do have the differences, certainly it's in the kind of the Plinko game of where these storms end up popping. And then from there, once you see one pop, you can start to kind of nowcast and look into the next couple of hours to see where the next one potentially will be. So what do you got for me today? What do we
I want to show you kind of two separate real stormy areas. We're going to focus on the one west real fast. That's more of a whole upper level system. You can kind of see the swirl there in central Texas. Where would that be? I guess north of I-10, essentially.
Yep.
But it's bringing a lot of heavy rain to East Texas. The Dallas Metroplex are just to the east of there, actually, over toward Denton and Sherman, Anthony Austin's old stomping grounds back there in Tyler, Texas.
Forest up there, yeah.
Yeah, and then Texarkana, the bayou there a little bit as well. So a couple of flash flood warnings for them, a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings as well, moving through some of those locations in East Texas, West Louisiana. And then here, really the second stormiest place in the country, perhaps.
Yeah.
The first, depending on how you look at it. You can see that sea breeze starting to work its way in, though, firing up some of those thunderstorms here now. So we're just going to work down the line from north to south, Lou, right along the sea breeze if we can.
I like it. So we don't have the benefit of chroma key here where we can I can sit there and point to the different things. But I think if you're watching this, you've got the keen enough eye to see the outflow boundaries. All right. So you look towards Nahunta, you look at Folkston, and then you look over in what would be West Camden County, there, just west of 95, you see the thunderstorms. But outside of those, you're seeing these little slivers that run sort of east-west and dip into the south. Those are your outflows. That is, the wind created outside of these thunderstorms that can be picked up on radar. And so you watch those individual boundaries where things will collide with other thunderstorms, where they'll collide with other boundaries. And that's where you can kind of see, well, where's the next storm going to pop? But the other thing you take away is you've got about an hour worth of time here looped. Not much movement, really.
No.
So
the upper level flow is real weak today. So I mean,
weak.
They're just going to kind of meander around, and maybe not so much in these locations. Although this is one of the spots that got a lot of rain last night.
Yeah.
Eastern Brantley County, and then western Glen, I guess it was last night.
Yep.
Radar estimates were like 2 to 3 inches last night.
And that's it's funny because if you're in St. Mary's now, on the east side of 95. And in fact,
you're getting nothing.
And that may be the story for a lot of us along the east of 95. Now that the sea breeze is kind of pushing more, you see that there's sea breeze. So that line that extends from, if you see St. George on the map, now moving through Oakleaf and west of Green Cove. That line represents kind of those winds coming in from the east. We're getting those big, strong, good southeast winds, and that's been the east and southeast winds kind of been dominating the day off the beach anyway. So you get the breeze going, and now it doesn't eliminate anything east of that getting a thunderstorm, certainly, but it kind of drops those chances. And so you kind of look along the leading edge, but even sometimes it happens right behind it. So sometimes you'll see the sea breeze and think the storms are going to pop right in front of it. But what happens, radar is picking up a little bit of moisture that's getting tossed about, but it's right behind that line where you start to see a little uplift on days like today. And you can see just south of Green Cove, kind of the example of that, where we've got some thunderstorms. Really, the thunderstorms now in our more southern areas.
What I was going to say before we go further south,
Yes.
I think one of the coolest things about this radar look, you see the little bend in southern Charlton County and near the St. George area. That's really because the portion of the sea breeze that's moving through western Duval and Clay County actually gets held up by the St. Johns River, its own river breeze, so to speak.
For sure.
So that's why when it kind of moves through Duval and St. Johns County sometimes, it's held up a little bit more, whereas, up across southeast Georgia, that, didn't have to interact with a river boundary. It was able to progress a little bit further westwards faster. So that's why there's just that like slight little bend, and it's not a complete linear line moving westward. I think that's such a cool dynamic.
Yeah, a great point. And yesterday, I mean, we're learning. You learn every day, and then you look and you try to have something new in your mind every single day, and that you know about the microclimates of the river, but just how much it really can enhance thunderstorms on certain days. And of course, you mentioned slowing down or just kind of halting a sea breeze just a bit. That can have a big difference in the way thunderstorms are developing. A term paper idea for parents out there watching the stream. You got a rising junior or senior in high school. Listen, we're going to get some research credit for you right
Some
here, right
summer
now.
school homework, Lou.
Let me tell you, hey,
That's how he's got kids still in school.
these rising seniors, man, you're going to have to. Hey, I'm just telling you, the research. That's the potential right there, and we got plenty of smart folks who can help you out with that. But I would be interested in hearing all about those microclimates of the First Coast. All right, we got some currents. Where it's rained, it's dropped, and where it hasn't, it's still very hot. So Keystone, you're just kind of lingering there, aren't you? Kind of waiting on yours. But
18-degree temperature difference. Insane.
yeah.
It's insane.
Yes.
Crazy stuff. But that's what, the power of some of these thunderstorms can do. You get those huge rain shafts and downdrafts, and it cools you off a good bit.
It does.
Makes it still a little moist out there, humid.
So the flip side of that is it's like, putting your cast iron skillet on open flame, and then sure, you cool it off for a minute, but you hold your hand, 6 inches above that steam. I mean, that's... a lot of asphalt out there towards Palatka along Highway 17. I can just already in my mind I can see the steam rising. Off of the off the highways there. And yep, sea breeze continues its trek. So.
And I think another point, and we kind of did touch on it with how slow moving they are, but we are expecting maybe the highest thunderstorm development west of Highway 301 today.
Yeah.
Areas where they do develop, kind of where those arrows are painted over. So Union and Bradford County, Baker County, and out towards I-75, because they are so slow moving, a flash flooding concern will be possible. Our precipitable water amounts are anywhere from about a half inch or an inch and a half to 2 inches. I read in the National Weather Service forecast discussion, some of these rainfall rates, at least the instantaneous rates, could be 3 to 5 inches per hour. So that's
for sure.
It's more than likely not going to rain for a full hour there, but it's possible. So just be mindful if you are going to be out and about it all this evening, because they are slow moving. Flash flooding might be a bit of a concern and something we're going to have to watch for here throughout the rest of tonight.
And notice the flow towards Valdosta, a little bit different. So we're talking about, Gulf sort of influence. So when Gulf meets Atlantic, Atlantic's kind of winning that battle. But when Gulf meets Atlantic, that's right there, again, a great, zone that we've been talking about, like that Lake City I-75 corridor. So we could see that through the evening as we see on computer modeling. So really outdoor plans wise, so we've kind of mentioned the fact that the sea breeze has made its way beyond the St. Johns River. You can't completely rule out the chance of getting that stray little shower east of the breeze. But if you are east of 95, you're in the communities east of the St. Johns River, you probably have the benefit of a decent evening. Now, as that sea breeze continues, you get towards Baker County, Bradford Union, and out Columbia County, or if you had even a trip to Gainesville or Alachua County, you run into those as we go through a little bit later on tonight. We lose our heating, and so we lose our big mechanism of getting the showers going, so we get through the night. Although last night, Ross was talking about this at 11. I mean, we still had certainly we had some activity there on the radar.
The one difference between last night and tonight, there was several, but one of the bigger ones after sunset was the upper level winds were just slightly out of the southwest, which allowed for those storms to drift back east. And you and I talked about that a little bit yesterday, Lou. So tonight, more than likely not going to be the case, just because it's so stagnant about 1,000 to 5,000 feet aloft. not a whole lot of air movement. So it's really just the sea breeze pushing these storms, westward, and that's about it. So we're not expecting them to be brought back, out towards 95 or back toward 95 tonight. Not too worried about that.
So the rest of your Wednesday night, again, not terrible unless you get underneath one of those storms kind of moving west, and then we'll watch this again for Thursday. Good map. The question keeps.
Could you? Yeah, there we go. Thanks, Andy.
Yeah, the question keeps coming up. We've had a lot of, certainly folks had there, in the last week, people who have had less than others. In pockets, we've been a ton of rain, but we've had a couple of rainy events, big rainy events, thinking back even a week and a half, 2 weeks ago when we had that trough, that coastal inverted trough set up where we got a good soaker. So what we take away from this, while our yards can always use the benefit of more rain, is we had about a month ago, we saw that moderate to even severe drought indicated even further up into St. Johns County. Even southern Duval, I think, was in that moderate drought level. So while still dry for a good bit of us, I mean, we're even out of even monitoring if you look into southeast Georgia there, just because the continuous rainfall. I take this, as a good thing, and I don't know if this map pulls out at all to show Central and South Florida, but even
I don't have it pulled out.
But just for your purposes, Central Florida was in that extreme. The I-4 corridor had that big red bullseye over it, and then South Florida as well had that big extreme level drought, and that's kind of getting busted a little bit. I still think Orlando's within that moderate to severe, because you just kind of look south of Palatka, but some of those areas of extreme are kind of tapering off a bit.
Well, and we said last night, Glenn, Camden counties, Brantley County saw potentially several inches of rain, but Jacksonville really didn't get any. I think it was just noted as a trace, and we're now over an inch below average for the month of June already at the Jacksonville International Airport. So it really is, dependent upon where you happen to live. You may be pretty saturated and soggy out there. Elsewhere, you're hoping for a shower to blow on in just to give your grass a nice soaking, so you don't have to put the sprinklers on tonight.
I haven't done it, and I haven't needed to. My grass, I mowed it last weekend, and it is already, shin high.
So you mow your own grass?
Yeah.
Because I heard yesterday that apparently Anthony Austin does not mow his own grass.
No, he does not. He's got
that main anchor energy is what I heard. Yeah, I guess he pays someone to do that. I don't know. I personally think.
What kind of vehicle does he drive? Now, he used to have the luxury vehicle. I don't know if he still.
Oh, he drives a Chevy, American-made.
American-made. Okay,
yeah.
I think he had some German engineering not that long ago. But I will say he's got the main anchor energy, a little MAE. And that's you know what? God bless him. And as chief, it could very easily go to my head and be an ego trip. I'm driving my 2014 Jeep Cherokee with 230,000 miles, and I'm going to drive that thing. And Ross, you can
until the wheels fall off, baby.
Until the wheels is paid for. And do I mow my own lawn? Absolutely. Do I do the best job? Am I like the grounds crew over at UNF that have every blade down to the centimeter? No, I am not.
Until your kids are old enough to mow it for you.
Yeah,
that's what I learned.
I haven't quite gotten to where I trust my son, 12 years old. He's certainly capable, but I like lines.
Okay.
And I want at least parallel lines, and I'm getting I cut him loose once, and God love him, he's going to be great at it, but no, not yet.
Now, I do have to ask real quick before we continue with the weather, Lou.
Sure.
Do you have a specific look you're rocking when you're out? Do you have a riding mower or a push mower?
I'm a push mower guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was really picturing you in like a cutoff T-shirt, jean shorts. Holder. Yeah, a little cup holder, that was what I was picturing in my mind on a riding mower. But push mower, more respect to you.
Unlike Anthony Ossie, I am a married man. So my wife does insist that I present myself to the neighbors in at least a somewhat respectable manner. Because I have gone out in the white undershirt, tank top, and jean shorts, because I do have those, and mowed the lawn, and she was so, not mad, disappointed. Disappointed.
Which might be worse.
Which was worse.
Yeah.
So no, I do my go-to, and this is, I think everybody should adhere to this, especially when you're cutting in the hot heat of the summertime and the sun beating down you. I do wear the big wide brim straw hat.
Oh, okay.
I've got a couple
Yeah.
of those in the repertoire. I've got the wide brim, so that's the look.
But not cowboy hat-esque?
Not cowboy
just wide brim? Okay.
No,
Wow.
that'd be awesome.
I don't know. I thought you were maybe a little country. Perhaps not.
not quite that country. You can't fake that. You got to be legit with the cowboy hat.
Well, if you are using the push mower out there, stay hydrated. It's going to
100%.
continue to stay hot. Maybe perhaps a few degrees cooler tomorrow, especially out along the coastline. The overall flow will be out of the southeast, but we do expect that sea breeze to work in perhaps a little bit earlier. I did not change this from yesterday, Lou.
I wouldn't. I liked it. I looked at it today. I agree.
I moved that. Okay, well, we'll just continue forward here. This is essentially showing you tomorrow afternoon and evening. I'm really thinking the window is much earlier, for I-95 tomorrow, and
Yep.
then I think afternoon and evening looks to be a little bit better, or late afternoon and evening looks better as most of those storms push off to the west there.
Yeah, and I don't know if do you get out to Friday on that?
I believe I do, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So interesting about Friday, and what I noticed this morning, and I wonder if it's still doing it, is sea breeze gets going, but we start to pick up a little more activity from the west. And so I think, the blowback is going to occur a little bit more by Friday afternoon. So it won't be the same as today, where the beaches are kind of in the free and clear now because steering currents aren't what they will be Friday. But it looks like we'll get the sea breeze. Then we're going to get another collision, and some more westerlies will kind of push those storms through the evening back to the 95 corridor and even as far east as the intracoastal and towards the beach. So Friday night, we'll watch those plans for you very carefully. If
That
you're gonna be
Gulf
heading on the beach.
Coast wins out the battle perhaps on Friday.
Sure does.
Now, the one last thing before we go, we have a few seconds left. I did drop our pops a little bit
noticed.
by the next week.
Yeah.
Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, perhaps. Some drier air gets brought in, but either way, I think there's going to be thunderstorms somewhere along the first coast every single day over the next 7, Lou.
Happy Father's Day to everybody out there. And buddy, check 12 day tomorrow. Don't forget your pink. Ross, I enjoyed it, man.
Take care, folks.